Hello everyone, I am Dr. Miftahul Islam Barbaruah, and the topic which I am going to discuss today is regarding animal health and production related workforce analysis with special reference to the initiative in Assam, which is a state in India. Uh, this presentation, I am thankful to Department of Animal Husbandry and Veterinary Government of Assam for uh, inputs that they have provided. So the first question that comes to our mind is that why do we need to invest on capacity building of workforce? This was actually the context why we undertook the study in Assam. We wanted to improve the veterinary service delivery. As you are aware that there are 5A components, which call 5A components of National Veterinary Service. That is the availability, accessibility, acceptability, adequacy, and affordability of veterinary services. So we want to ensure these 5As, and this is possible when you invest on the workforce. And to invest on the workforce, you need to know various characteristics of your workforce. So the first important thing that we need to do for any kind of workforce analysis, or you can call a prerequisite for this, is the occupational mapping. What are the different types of occupations which are available or which are related to veterinary in our country? And we need to ensure that the occupation that we select for any kind of workforce analysis, there must be harmonization, and you need to follow a certain degree of harmonization. This occupation should be unique uh, across the country, or if not internationally. So what we did is that we did an occupational mapping exercise. And in this slide, you will see that we used international classification of occupations to identify various occupations which are related to animal health and production. And this particular slide you can use in your studies also to identify, because this is an internationally recognized list of occupations. Before I start going into the detail of this presentation, I would like to highlight some of the challenges that we faced when we started work on this study. You can say that this is the limitation on our part. So the first problem we face is the definition and classification of workforce. And this is more important in the case of VPPs. There are numerous categories of VPPs, and we found a lot of difficulty in getting the proper definition of these occupation groups. Second thing is there is incomplete or poor data quality. This is true almost in all developing nations. Thirdly, there is poor alumni database of colleges and training institutions. So when we went to different colleges and trying to find out whether they have a list of alumni with them, the database of people who have passed out from the colleges, very poor records are available. And the veterinary statutory board also, they do not maintain record of specialization and employment. When they do not maintain record of employment, what happens that you do not know whether how many people are there in which sector. Then again, if we go to any professional associations, Association of Veterinarians, Association of VPPs, they don't have a proper record system. Even the membership records are not up to mark. And another important thing is that we found is the multiple data sets are being maintained by different agencies. So that puts the question of credibility of data. Then again, the predominant informal engagement of people in farming and allied activities. So most of the developing countries, India too, we see a lot of informal activities, which informal occupations, Since people are engaged in informal occupations, we are very difficult to get the data of number of people involved in these occupations. Then for the people who are in services, public services, there's inadequate service rule and description of job profile. So this was the limitation of the study, and we can say the challenge here. We would like to discuss mostly the main findings of the study that we conducted in Assam. We will go into more details in later slides. Here, the first thing that we found is that the very limited number of people are there in the front end of service delivery. People are mostly in the administrative side. When it comes to actual service delivery in the ground, there are very few people. And then distribution of personnel, if you look into, they are very much skewed against rural, tribal, and hilly areas. People are mostly there in urban areas. And you will see that another very important that we found in most that is there in many of the public services. There are large number of vacancies, and interestingly, we found that in vacancies are there even in the top leadership level. So many another interesting thing that we observe is that there are many designations without any proper reporting structures. In case of veterinary, we found that there were 147 designations, and for veterinary paraprofessionals, there are about 16 designations. These too many designations are actually, creating a lot of issues when it comes to, proper control of organizational control. Then, because of the vacancies, probably, many officers oversee multiple sanction positions. So there are too much of pressure. Work pressure is very high, and interestingly, there are corrupt practices. We saw incidents of, we cannot confirm it properly, but we saw that there is a likelihood of ghost employment. A ghost employment is a situation when the person's name is there in the payroll, but he is not actually working. And we have disguised employment. In certain institutions, we saw that a lot of people are there, which actually not required. The number of people is more than the requirement. And political employment is again an issue because in many situations it is the political leaders in local areas who are influencing employment of people, and who are actually not coming through merit. They are not coming through a formal, does not have the required merit for a particular kind of job. And then we did a little bit of calculation to identify the personnel in animal health versus 10,000 livestock standard unit. This calculation is a common calculation actually when we discuss about the workforce adequacy. Usually internationally we use this livestock standard unit. Persons per 10,000 livestock standard unit is considered as a benchmark, and we tried to calculate this for Assam, and we found that it is only 3.18 person per 10,000 livestock standard unit. For India, it is 3.93 persons. In this slide, coming few slides, I am going to give you a glimpse of some of the analysis that we did as a part of the workforce study. We approached the colleges producing veterinarians and veterinary paraprofessionals to understand, what is the supply kind, how much supply we are getting, workforce supply. So one thing we observe is that there's highly inconsistent supply of personnel. Even for the colleges, we took the record from 2001 to 2016, and we found that it's the average number of average number of graduates being produced only 85. It's varying from, the curve is varying, inconsistent. Similarly, for VPPs, for veterinary paraprofessionals, the number varies. There is no consistent supply. Uh, you can see with from 2007 to 2008, it's only 17 people who passed out. 2010, 2011, 45. Uh, Hardly there is any proper record. Actually, we are not that sure about the kind of data being maintained. But these are the veterinary paraprofessionals which are there are only one uh, training institute, which is a publicly funded training institute. So, and that is also in a very bad shape, and it was almost in the verge of collapse during 14, 15 itself, and after that, hardly we got any record. But recently in 2019-20, they have again inducted around 100 VPPs for training, and this training is almost complete now, and these people are waiting for to be employed in the services. The second, this slide talks about, we try to understand the kind of people, the qualification of veterinarian more particularly. And we found that only 17%, 17.5% precisely, have completed master's degree. It's a very nominal number of people. Again, we found that only 3 persons are there who have public health specialization. And that's, I must say that while doing this analysis, we based our analysis on the available records. It is possible that many veterinarians, graduate veterinarians, may not have reported their higher qualification to the authorities because there is because there's no incentive for higher qualifications. And I think this analysis showed us the importance of giving incentive for higher qualifications, because otherwise, hardly people are opting for higher qualifications. We made a superannuation projection till 2030, and interestingly, we found that 72% of the total employee of the department is going to retire by 2030, and probably this information was very important from our point of view, because this is the best time for the department to initiate a workforce development strategy. In this analysis, we look into the age of entry to public service, particularly for veterinarians, and the analysis indicated that the age of entry is increasing regularly. I'm saying it's almost 45 people at the age of 45 is joining profession or joining the public service. So this indicates that the practice of giving promotion based on seniority is no longer feasible, and government need to think about bringing in merit-based promotion system. In this analysis, we looked into the yearly appointment of veterinarians in the public service, and we saw that there's a very much irregular trend of appointment. And it's in the highest appointment was done in 2016, but if you look into the graph, this is being done after 5 years of gap. So that's a very interesting. As a part of the study, we also conducted few stakeholder consultations where participants they put their opinions regarding what we need to do as far as the workforce management is concerned. The first suggestion that came is on that we need to consider livestock value chain when it comes to reaching out or making any investment in a particular sector. For example, if you are making investment in poultry sector, we need to understand that it is not only the farmers, poultry farmers who are there in the sector, but there are traders, there are transporters who are also involved in the entire value chain. Secondly, the opinion was that the state is not creating enough opportunity for people across the value chain to interact. And this is very important because innovation needs this. To bring an innovation interaction between the players of the value chain must be there. Uh, in one of the very important consultation, one suggestion was that there are a lot of emerging functions, and actually, if you want to prepare our workforce for these emerging functions, we have to regularly do skill mapping to identify the gap for such emerging functions. Then another suggestion was that the government need to utilize personnel in private sector for various public functions. There are a lot of qualified people who are there in private sector who can be of help to government. Secondly, another important suggestion was that decentralized engagement of personnel. When I say decentralized engagement, is that instead of when a person is employed under the local self-government, naturally his accountability is more and it is helps in improving the service delivery. Then this is true is that the incentive system that we create is very important to get the positive behavior of the workforce. We have completed our study during later part of 2018. Uh, Currently, my team is working with Government of Assam in implementing our recommendations. And one thing that we are facing, we are still trying to find the answer is what is the appropriate benchmark for workforce availability and adequacy? Uh, Internationally, when we reviewed the various literature, we found that it is the number of personnel per 10,000 livestock standard unit or per square kilometer land area. But today, when we are talking about use of technology, uh, and the system is changing in the as far as service delivery is concerned. So, what should be the appropriate benchmark for a state when it comes to availability and adequacy of personnel? Secondly, we are entering into we are creating systems instead of to capture certain information for regular monitoring. So what are the indicators and minimum data sets that we need to monitor the stock distribution and production of personnel in veterinary services? So these, I hope that in this particular conference, uh, we will be able to learn from participants more on this, uh, and this will be of this will really help my team to further work on this topic. The way forward is that we are now planning for a country level focused VPP workforce analysis. If you look into the diagram here, we have already done a little bit of mapping of components for a focused VPP workforce study in India, and we hope in next few months we will be able to undertake this study. Thank you. Thank you very much.